Hi there. So this is the next question. This one looks like you skipped it on your workbook. So I'm assuming you needed help with that one as well. Okay, so they give you this formula and it says, based on this formula, you can tell that the interest is 10% compounded annually. And that comes because this 1.1, the 0.1 is 10%. Annually is because there's like a coefficient of 1 in front of the t. And this comes from this like compound interest formula. So they gave you that information and they said you want to, let me just pull up what it actually says. You're changing this from being compounded annually to being compounded quarterly. Okay, so what we're changing is we're changing from n equaling 1 to n equaling 4. Quarterly would mean we're going to compound 4 times a year. So we're going to use this general formula as well. So what you're going to do, and just so you know, this is pretty complicated. What you should be able to do in this lesson is follow along. Like there was an example, let me pull it up. There was an example that I see here. Example 2 is similar. They were changing like a 13% compounded annually rate, and they changed it to a monthly rate. So you should be able to follow along an example and like change the numbers to meet your example. But some of this stuff is pretty complex. So if you can follow along with what I'm doing, I think that you're doing pretty darn good. All right, so I'm going to write down our equation was 250 was the principal, and then we had 1.1 to the t. Okay, so we need to now change this. So our coefficient right now in front of the t is 1 because it's compounded annually, but we want it to be 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by 4 over 4 because 4 over 4 is the same as 1. It's just a unit fraction. So when I do that, I have 1.1 to the 4 over 4t like this. Now what you can do, we've learned about exponents in previous lessons, or actually in the first half of this course. You can split this up a little bit. This is the same as like, I'm just gonna write this over here, 4t times 1/4. This is still the same. There's still 4t on the top and 4 on the bottom. So I'm gonna float this 1/4 inside the parentheses. So it's going to look like this, 250 times 1.1 to the 1/4 power. And out here I have 4t power. So this is all still the same fraction. You're just playing around with where you put it. And that's what's kind of tricky, I think. So now we're going to actually have to evaluate 1.1 to the 1/4 power. So I'm using my phone calculator here. When you turn it sideways, you get a scientific calculator. So 1.1, and then there's this exponent button. To the 1/4 power, I'm going to type that as 0.25. So I get this number, 1.02411, and that's good for now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take this number right here, and we are going to figure out what the new rate needs to be. So 1.02411. This has to equal this stuff on the inside of the parentheses here, 1 plus r over 4, because we're changing this to a quarterly rate now. We don't want it to be an annual rate anymore. So I need to solve this equation for r. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So I get 0.02411. And over here, I now have r over 4. So still solving for r, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. So when I multiply that by 4 times 4, I get 0.09645 equals r. So I get this number right here. It says to convert it to a percentage, so I'm going to move my decimal point twice, and I get 9.6% or 9.645%. It gives you a little leeway on for however you round. So that's what the answer should be for that problem. Again, this is quite a difficult problem. So if you're able to just kind of follow along with what I did, you're doing pretty good.